let's start with the excuses, right? And what I figured would be fun is chatting about some things that a lot of people say when they are starting a new goal or a program. And I thought you would be the perfect person because you started as a client and you did the Goddess Body Project first. And then you started into morphing into a competitor, and now you're a coach on the team. So that's quite an evolution of your life at Venus and, fitness. So before we get into the objections that we face with a lot of people, which I know it's time, money, motivation, all those things, tell everybody a little bit about you before we dive into that so they understand, like, oh, she gets it, right? Like your age, everything that I know that everyone else does not know.
Okay. Well, I turned 39 on Friday, so nearing 40.
Oh my
I'm,
gosh, that's
I
right.
know, I know. Yeah. Woo.
Yes, happy belated birthday, by the way.
Thank you. I'm a mom of five. I have
Can
four
you repeat that
teenage,
really loudly?
right? Mom of five.
There
I
you go.
say hashtag mom of five still alive.
I
Um,
love that.
I have four teenage kiddos, very busy kids. And then I have a younger son who's 7. He's also very busy. We're a very busy family. I work full time. I am a teacher. I am a competitor, bikini competitor, and I am a coach for you.
I love that. So exciting. And you're competing again this year.
Yes. Well, I hope so. Fingers
You
crossed.
you loved it so much. Last year was your first time ever at
Yes.
the, ripe age of 38, right?
Yes.
And how was that experience for you?
It was amazing. I didn't think it would be something that I would ever be interested in. And then one day you said, "Oh, you better be careful. I might want you for one of my bikini girls." And I was like, "What? Don't say that. No, 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 no."
I
And
remember you
then,
freaking out. I really distinctly do.
yes, I freaked out. I was like, "No, there's no way. I don't even wear a bathing suit at home. How could I put on a sparkly bikini in front of hundreds of people? There's just no way." And then I just kept working hard towards it. And thought maybe it could be a possibility. And then once I decided that it was going to be something that I wanted, I mean, I just went all in. And I think that's kind of what you have to do when you decide to compete. But it was a wonderful experience for me.
Yeah, I remember distinctly I believe you were at the studio watching maybe like a posing practice or something, and you pull me aside and you're like, I want to do this and I don't care what it takes. You tell me what I need to do. And I'm like, oh, yes, ma'am. And it's interesting because I get a lot of people who are excited, right? When they start and they're like, I want to do all the things and tell me I'll be hardcore. And it's really challenging for them to stay the course and stick to the plan. And you did it with 5 kids and you did excellent. So tell everybody how you did on your first show. Do you remember all your placings? I'm sure you do.
Yeah, yeah. I got 2 second place placings, and then I got 2 fourth place placings. So I think I did really well
Amazing.
for my first show.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, so many women will do their first show and they don't place at all. And it's a learning step, right? It's like, okay, I tried this thing. They usually become very aware of what it is that they did not do to be ready, right?
Yes.
Usually people know.
Yes.
But what, okay, so we got you in the Goddess Body Project. That's kind of where we started. You dabbled
Mhm.
your toes in that. When you started that, what was different about, because that's really like laid the foundation, I feel like it got you understanding macros and how food changes your body and all that.
Mhm.
So what was the biggest shift for you before the Goddess Body Project? Because we know like it's like regular, you just normal doing your thing, Goddess Body Project, and
Mhm.
then you leapt into competition coaching. And those are very big leaps.
Yes.
So when you were just going about your normal life and you went into the program, what do you feel like was the biggest change for you from where you started? Like,
I
what
think
was it that you
just
changed? Yeah.
I think it was just the consistency of just not going off course. When you're not going into a competition, it's okay for you to eat Cheez-Its. Yes, that's my downfall is the Cheez-Its. So it was okay for me to eat Cheez-Its here and there. It was okay for me to have a slip up, and, it was okay for me to miss a workout. And then once I shifted into, I knew that I wanted to compete, I just did exactly what I was told to do. And that's how I was
Yeah. You did
successful.
too.
Yeah.
Every week. I remember seeing you at the gym and I'm like, there she is.
Yeah.
She's doing the things.
Doing the things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most
So there was no
definitely.
excuses.
No, definitely not. Now, let's come back to what I wanted to get to, like for the heart of this podcast, which is every day on social media, if I post a question box, it tends to be the same themes. Like, I don't have motivation. I don't have the time. I'm too busy. I'm not seeing results. I don't think it works, those type of things. So, coming from a mom of five, when somebody says to you, I don't have time, what are your tips for that? Because clearly you work a full-time job, you busy with five kids. What do you have to say about that particularly? Hints, tips, strategies, and also what you had to give up, right?
Yeah, and you sacrifice, some things. I sacrificed, you know parties, and mostly that was on my end, just because of knowing what I would be faced with going to some parties. But I
Hmm.
mean, I went to Disneyland and I brought my meal prep, and I cooked at Disneyland. So that I wake up early. I go to bed early and I wake up early. Wake up every morning at 3 a.m. I get ready. I'm at the gym by 4 a.m. I get my workouts done. I get to work. And then if I have to do my cardio in the afternoons, I do it. I still have, my family meals that, I have to cook for them. I have to cook for myself. But being prepared was my number one tool to make things fit. I prepared my meals for the week. I prepared my gym outfits for the week. I prepared my work outfits for the week. Every minute counts, and keeping it all in a planner, keeping everything planned out. My workouts are planned out, you know, even cleaning parts of my house was planned out. Deep cleaning my room on this day, deep cleaning the living room on this day, and keeping everything on schedule really helped me keep it all together.
That's amazing. So, did you have, just to break that down even more for some people, did you have like specific days that you like meal prepped or did laundry, or was it just like you looked at your calendar and like I have pockets of time and you just kind of put it in?
It would depend on the week, just because different things, happen. I had last year when competing, I was also planning my wedding.
Oh my
I
gosh,
was
I forgot
also
about that.
I was also moving my classroom because I switched schools. I was also, helping my kids with prom and graduation. There was a lot going on. So it would depend on the week. But I mean, I would say usually Sundays were like the most relaxed day. And that's the day that I would do all my planning, all my laying out of my vitamins, all my laying out of my clothes. So Sundays tend to work better. And I learned quickly that I had to make Sundays work, because if I didn't plan Sunday and Monday morning I was trying to throw things together, it threw everything off. So Sundays tend to be my days that I planned everything out.
So, you had a wedding, you were in prep, you had kids going to prom, you were moving your classroom. What did I forget? Just be
I don't know.
just being a normal human, right? So
Yeah,
you had all these things going on. Do you feel like because I tend to feel like this sometimes, do you feel like you thrive better when you just have a lot of balls in the air?
absolutely. I mean, because you don't have time to fuck off. You don't have time. I mean, you told me exactly what to do, when to do it, what to eat, what not to eat. And I feel like it was easier for me. There was no guesswork to that. And
Hmm.
when I have it in my planner, there's no guesswork. There's just, you do what you're told to do, and that's what I did.
Exactly. Now, moving on to the excuse or the thought that a lot of people have, which is like, it's not working, right? Like, oh, I'm doing this thing for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. That doesn't work for me, or it's not working. Now, I know when we were working together, there were a couple weeks when we had weeks that it seemed like nothing was working, right? It was just like the scale didn't move, measurements were
Mhm.
kind of sticking around the same. What did you do during those weeks instead of giving up? Because that's what a lot of people will do is just like, oh, the scale went up a pound, I'm quitting, right? And we
Yeah,
had those moments.
absolutely. I mean, never the quitting moment because I knew I really wanted it. But I mean, I think just having to trust in the process. And even though it's really hard to trust the process, and and I just keep seeing it, trust the process, trust the process. And I've seen other women, and it's like, I'm just going to keep trusting the process. And I'm going to keep doing it. I mean, I definitely was sad. I don't want to say that I wasn't sad because you would see so many other competitors, where it just happened so easily for them or easier.
Hmm.
And I was like, I'm doing all the things. I swear I'm not cheating. I swear I didn't put anything in my mouth. But I mean, but I stuck with it and and it paid off. And I, everyone, and I do see the questions, how do you stay motivated? Everyone, how do you stay motivated? It's not motivation. There's sometimes where I did not want to do it. I did
Hmm.
not want to wake up, especially towards the end when you're tired. You did not want to be there. You just do it because it's the process and it's a part of it.
Right. When you had those days, what did you do? Where you were just like, I mean, a lot of people wake up and they're just like, "Ugh, I don't feel like going." And I know, like, I got to do this thing. But besides the fact that you had discipline in place, right? You're like, it's just
Mhm.
discipline. It's not motivation. I'm just doing it because it's part of what I need to do. Was there anything else that you would do to just kind of like boost your spirits to get the motivation juices flowing?
Well, I think one of the big things that I mean, towards the end goal, I kept telling people that I wanted first place. So I felt like that if I didn't place high, that I'd be letting people down. So that kind of, just telling people what I wanted, telling people my goals. And I almost felt like people at the gym that if they didn't see me, they're gonna know that I'm not there. I better get there,
Yeah.
they're gonna notice I'm missing. But I think just, I mean, good music, having,
Hmm.
my playlist ready. And, for a while, everyone's like, I can't believe you get up at 3 a.m. What I would do is I would put my pre-workout next to my bed. I'd
Hmm.
wake up, I've had my glass of my water first. I drink my pre-workout. There's no going back. Once you drink
None.
that pre-workout, you better get there. You're gonna have the tingles. So
Yes. That's
there's
actually
no
a
going back.
really good, that's actually a really good tip that I feel like we don't talk about enough is when these people, I'm one of these people, right? Like getting up at that time sounds ungodly. Like I'm just now in the habit of getting up at 5, but a lot of our clients, that's a struggle, like getting up at 5 or for something to be at a session at 5 or at the gym at 5 and getting your pre-workout ready. Like, first of all, you're not going to go, good luck going back to bed, right? You're going to lay
Yeah.
down and you're going to wake up in like 15 minutes, maybe. And then, the other thing is like, you don't want to waste, you don't want to waste a perfectly good,
No.
like pre-workout, right? So it's enough for you to just feel like, well, shit, I drank my pre-workout. So now I better get my butt in gear. And it might take you some minute to get yourself together and out the door. But once you get in your car, you're like halfway to the gym and you start feeling like, okay, it's kicking in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I think also
totally.
sharing with my husband too, I'm going to the gym tomorrow morning and then my alarm goes off. He's like, you better get up.
Hmm.
So just sharing with other people, sharing with, even my kids, you better get up, you better go.
Yes.
So everyone's on board.
Yeah. So that's a super helpful tip for motivation. Now, was there anything that you did in particular, like for yourself with like visualization or like journaling or, thinking about yourself on stage and seeing yourself winning? Did you have anything like that sort of embedded in your psyche, I guess?
Well, I had never journaled before, but I had did a coffee with coach and then I started doing the journaling. And I think that definitely helped laid out more of a plan, and steps along the way. Um, but as far as visuals, I mean, I really wanted first, and
Hmm.
that's another thing that's going to be driving me this time. I really want first. So that's just
Yeah.
kept what I going through my head. And then just hitting those steps, hitting the baby goals, having the baby goals, not just the end goal, but the
Mhm.
baby goals along the way, and enjoying when I hit those baby goals.
Yes, right. So we would map your goals out every week, and you knew you had to hit so many cardio sessions, so many steps, and obviously all your meals and all that. When it
Mhm.
comes to your food piece of it, because we know that that's the biggest change of your physique, right? And that's just
Absolutely.
competition or not. When it came to your meal prep, another thing that we hear a lot of is like, well, I hate cooking or I don't know how to cook and healthy food tastes awful. How was that transition for you? Did you come up with like just a pretty standard set of meals, or were you more of like you like to try to experiment with things? How was your diet strategy, even, leading up to prep before it got really, really serious?
So I want to say in the very beginning, I was like, let's get creative. Let's try to do new things and make it fun. But I felt like the more fun I tried to get, the more I would get off track.
Hmm.
I would allow things in that I wasn't supposed to be allowing. And then once I started realizing the more simple I have it and the more repetitive I have it, the easier it is to stay on track.
Hmm.
So I I'm a creature of habit. And so I just started eating the same foods for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. And it worked for me. And I was like, don't you get sick of it? No. The only thing I would switch up is my sauces,
Yeah.
Taco Bell, Cholula. So,
Yeah.
that's as creative as I got towards
Yeah.
the
So what was your go-to method for like cooking stuff, right? Because a lot of people think like, oh, I have to eat boiled vegetables and things like that. So what was your like favorite meal that you would cook when you were just, in prep and getting your meals dialed in?
Well, I love cooking on the trigger. So I loved my
Mm.
vegetables on the trigger. I love my chicken on the trigger. So I really enjoyed that. I mean, as much as I enjoyed potatoes, potatoes did not enjoy me.
Mhm.
So, I mean, kept it simple with the white rice. But I really liked cooking on the grill,
Yeah.
because no added, you know, no oils or anything like that. And it
Right.
was easy to cook.
Did you find like your family started to want to eat like you, or did you just kind of like keep it separate because you were just like, I'm doing me and I've got a million things going on?
My husband started eating more of the meal prep with me. My kids definitely started eating more vegetables than now that I
Okay.
was eating more vegetables. Um, but they don't care for chicken breast. So, but I mean, as far as the vegetables and everything going, they were all on board.
Okay,
So it
because
was
I think
good.
a lot of moms think like when they start a program or they start dieting or whatever, they want to clean up their lifestyle, that, oh my gosh, I have to take the whole family, like the whole family has to be on board and everyone's going to get upset and they go into that whole thing. And it's an adjustment for you, let alone trying to bring your whole family into your eating strategy. So I think you're onto something with that because it's important for you to just show them like what you're doing, but not force them into eating any of that. And I think just by general curiosity, a lot of times they'll want to try things.
Absolutely, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, my son started stealing my asparagus, so he preferred having asparagus on the grill, and even if I would make them a salad or zucchini, whatever, he wanted my asparagus. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's good for a 7-year-old.
Did you recruit any of your children to help out at all with anything with your prep related, like cooking foods or helping with laundry, or do you have a streamlined system with your kids at home?
They definitely all do chores.
Hmm.
All my kids have always done chores since they were very little. But as far as the cooking goes, I do have one of my daughters, she really helped, cook. Because sometimes it was really hard to be around like chicken thighs and I can only have chicken breast. And I love chicken thighs. So I'm like, sister, if you could just do that part, please, so I don't put it in my mouth.
Right.
And she did. She did really well.
That's awesome. It's so helpful to
Mhm.
have them in the kitchen. And I also know that from experience on my end, when I started bringing my son in the kitchen and giving him the chores of like my meal prep, he was more likely to want to try what I was cooking because he
Mhm.
was helping. And I think that was really the smartest thing I could have done to change his eating habits was give him cooking chores because then he was like, Oh, he kind of was like proud, like of the meals he was making, like, Mom, come try this. I tried it. It's pretty good. And then he would start eating like that. And then now he's a bodybuilder.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's helpful. It's super helpful, especially if you have kids that are, old enough to be in the kitchen helping out for sure.
And that's even as far as going to the gym. I mean, my daughter goes to the gym with me now, and my son, he goes to the daycare, but he would know, are we going to the gym? We're going to the gym, right, Mom? You got to get your steps in, Mom. And just, I think my whole family was more active because I was more active. Let's go out, let's go for a walk. And so we were all more active,
Yeah,
because of my workout schedule.
I love that. Now, with one of the other common things that we hear, which is budget, right? Like when it comes to, we'll just speak about like competing and, transformation programs are obviously an investment too. But when it comes to competing, it's an investment. It's an expensive hobby that pays nothing more than hopefully a plastic trophy, and some street cred, right? But when it comes to that, I'm assuming as a mom of five, you had to strategize some things. Do you have any tips for that, right? Because one thing I always say is like, well, you're not going to be eating out as much. And Amanda and I were talking about this the other day. We're like, when people complain about like meal prep or, paying for a trainer or whatever, just by the nature of not eating out as much, you really cut back your spending and you actually save money when
Mm-hmm.
you start a healthy regimen. But is there anything in particular that stands out to you where you're like, I did this and, budgeted this, or, you know, strategies for people who are just really trying to make things work?
Well, I definitely had to cut back in some areas. I'm a teacher, so it's not like I make a ton of money. So I definitely just started cutting back on little things, even looking at subscriptions that I had. I had, multiple, Netflix and all that. And so I tried to streamline as much as I could there, not eating out, but even not eating out means I'm driving my car less. I'm not going
Oh,
to as many places. So
mhm.
I think just even that was cutting back some, not aimlessly walking around Target
Oh yeah.
and all that. So, because that's
Yeah.
a hard one for me.
Oh, I know.
So just, I mean, cutting back in some little areas and making sure that I could budget for it, but yeah, like you said, eating out and then not drinking. And not that I was
Mhm.
a big drinker or anything, but for people who drink, you don't realize that
Yeah,
adds up real quick.
it
So
does. It adds up super fast.
I don't have any other like bad habits or anything. So, it was easy for me to budget some money towards my fitness goals. It was cheaper than getting any plastic surgery or anything. So
Yes, you are correct. Yes, yes, ma'am. Now, when it comes to working with women, because now you're at the studio, you're coaching for us over at Venus, you're going to be coaching on the Goddess Body Project here coming very soon. What do you, what is your favorite part about working with women? Because I know this was like a transition for you, right? You were a client for many years, and then we trained you to be a coach on staff. And so now you're like on the other side of that, working with women. How is that for you?
it's been amazing. I mean, even just, when I was a client there and working alongside women, I just absolutely love the process of, working out and seeing women get stronger. And especially the women at Venus, I feel like when they first come in, it's, we're a little more timid and a little shy. And then, couple months in, that's kind of worn off and they've grown into themselves and they realize the atmosphere that they're in, and you can really start learning the women and their personalities. But the process of just, being stronger and feeling better about yourself, and just pointing out, I remember when some of these ladies were picking up the 5 pound dumbbells to do like the Arnold press. And, now they're in there lifting, 30 pound weights for the Arnold
Amazing.
press. And I'm like, remember when? And it's so wonderful to be a part of their journey and see their transformations, and not just physically, emotionally, mentally. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah. And I know you started with us. Had you done personal training before?
I've done mostly like classes, like the
Mhm.
HIIT classes and everything like that. I was a cardio bunny.
Okay, tell us more about that. So share with us about what you used to do versus what you do now, because obviously your body, which we'll put photos in here so people can see of like your starting and your, your progress to stage. But when you started with us before competing and you did the Goddess Body Project, you were doing more cardio based stuff. What was your exercise experience like leading up to the shift?
I've always enjoyed going to the gym, but when I would go, I would, kill myself on the treadmill or the stair climber or the elliptical. I would kind of just lift weights. And then I joined, it was during like the COVID time, I had joined another, fitness group class, and it was mostly HIIT. So you do, like 90 seconds in one area, and then you move to the
Mhm.
next, and then you move to the next. And it was a forever changing exercises. It was never the same thing. It was just always
Mhm.
changing. And it was fun. It was interesting. And I would leave drenched in sweat thinking I did something. Because obviously, if I'm drenched in sweat, I must have burned a ton of calories. But I realized, it's definitely not the body that I wanted. I was just like, how come nothing is changing?
Mhm.
Nothing is changing. I look the same. I look the
Mhm.
same, and I have no butt, and everything was just kind of saggy in my arms. And then, Tina, of course,
Mhm. Insta awesome.
Insta awesome,
Mhm.
she was my waxer, and I followed her on Instagram. And I just remember seeing her progress and just, I want muscles like her. I want muscles like her. And so, of course, when you see what somebody else has, you're interested in what they're doing, you switch things up. And so I started coming to Venus, and
Mhm.
I started doing things a lot different, so it was,
Yeah.
you know, the motivation or whatever, or my scheduling and everything was already there. So just
Mhm.
switching up the type of workout that I did. And then I really enjoyed it. I really,
Yeah.
it definitely changed my body.
It did. It did. And I know that a lot of people, when they switch from what they're used to, which is like hit workouts, group fitness, and that's exclusively all they do, and they switch to the opposite, where they mainly do weight training with a backup of cardio, right? I mean, prep is a
Mhm.
whole nother beast, but when you're starting a program, it's like we don't want you living on cardio. We want you doing more weight training than cardio. It's a slower process, right? And you likely were not leaving the studio drenched in sweat and like burning 700 calories on your smartwatch. So, how did you keep going? Because most women quit right before it gets good. And I'm like, don't stop yet. Like, you're just like barely at 3 months or whatever. And like, it hasn't even got good yet. Right. So, what do you like? What kept you coming? Was it just trust? Like, you saw that other people had done it, or were you starting to notice your body change a little bit?
Well, in the beginning, it was really hard because I'm pretty sure I started gaining weight first. And I was
Mhm.
like, this is the opposite of what I wanted. But I noticed that because I was so interested, I wanted to be knowledgeable. That's one thing about me. If I go to do something, I want to read up about it. What are the pros? What are the cons? All of
Mhm.
that. And I just started listening to more podcasts, your podcasts, the sober bodybuilder. And I was
Mhm.
listening to these podcasts, and they were talking about the changes that will happen, and that it's a slow process. And it's hard because I do not like anything slow. I want it yesterday.
Same.
I
Yeah.
want it yesterday. I'm not a patient person at all. So I was like, I don't know if I could do this. But I really actually I just enjoyed the environment. And there were so many women in there that have, that I could see myself in. And I
Hmm.
was like, okay, well, they look strong. I want to be strong. They look good. And if they're doing this, then I'm going to stick it out just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So it wasn't trust at first. It was just, I guess, just not giving up on myself and just trying
Mhm.
to read more into it before I gave up.
Yeah. Which is great. I mean, it's a journey. It's one that takes quite some time, especially when you haven't been doing it and starting, in your later 30s. It's not like you're 21. It's going to be a little bit different. Hormones are different, all the things. So I'm really proud of you for sticking through it because not many people do, right? And I know that there's probably somebody listening who's been listening to me for 3 years now on the podcast, and they're like, I still haven't stepped a foot in the weight room because I'm scared. So I urge you, like, listening to this episode with Jenn, like, this is your sign, right? This is your sign to finally get into the weight room wherever you're at and get help from somebody if you don't know, right? And that's what you did.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I was afraid of the weight room too. And I'm like, they're all going to look at me. They're all going to know that I don't know what I'm doing. Nobody's looking.
Hmm.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares because you came to us one to two times a week, and then you had your program, which I gave you, and then you executed that in the gym by yourself. So that was a transition for you, right? From going from cardio and cardio classes to now you're walking into the weight room without a trainer. Was that nerve-wracking at first, or did you just like felt pretty confident, like, okay, I'll figure this out?
I think that you guys gave me the tools that I needed to be successful. I would go into Venus and I'd get, the movements down. And even if we weren't doing something in the gym that I was doing on my own, I would ask, one of the trainers, hey, this is on my workout plan. Is it supposed to look like this? And, I always got great feedback and I was pretty confident, I guess, at that
Mhm.
point to go into the gym by myself and do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we just needed to give you a little bit of a push.
That's right.
That's all. Yeah. Well, this was a jam-packed episode, I feel like, full of like really great excuse busters, giving you some insight as to the process and some tips and hints from you as far as how you did this all. So, last question. If you had to tell any woman out there that's listening and they've been listening for a long time to Boss Bitch Radio and they're just like, I just can't, I'm nervous, I'm scared, I don't trust it. What is your advice to them?
I think that you owe it to yourself, to give it your all, to give it a try. I mean, really, what do you have to lose? You've already wasted time. So, I mean, I would say for me, I wish I would have tried it sooner. So
Hmm.
I know that at any point in this journey, someone's going to wish that they would have done it sooner. So do it now.
Do
Do it
it
now.
now.
You're not going to regret it. You're not going to
Yes.
regret it.
Yes. And give them like what their next step should be. Tell them today you need to do this. Go do this.
Um, Today, well, I want to say be more knowledgeable. Go listen to Boss Bitch Radio.
Yes.
Go listen to the podcast. Go listen to, I mean, you have some great things in there to get in the gym.
Hmm.
Just don't delay. Get into the gym, try some movements out, get comfortable.
Yeah.
Call a personal trainer, get a trainer,
There you
get
go.
a trainer.
Get a trainer.
Get a trainer.
Yeah. I
They'll
mean,
tell you what
because
to do.
yeah, you exactly. You started, I believe, one time a week. And that's where we started for quite some time at the studio. And you were just like, I'm going to try this thing out. And
Mhm.
here we are,
Yeah.
right? It snowballed into a completely different physique. You got on stage, you did very, very well. And we're going to do it again.
I'm
And
going
now
to do it
you're a
again.
personal trainer yourself and a diet coach
Yes.
and all this fun stuff. So it's fun because you never know where that journey may take you, right? Who would have thought like a few years ago that you would be doing this, right? Yeah,
Yeah. Mind blown. Mind
crazy.
blown.
Yeah, totally. Well, this was so much fun. Thank you for being on the podcast. It's been so much fun to coach you and obviously have you on my team. And working with these ladies in the next round of the Goddess Body Project is going to be super awesome. So, for those that are listening, there should be a link in the description for you to check out our next session starting April 15th. And if you're in studio, we can help you there in Modesto. We'll also have some different online options as well. So, you feel free to check those out. And yeah, we'll see you on the next episode. So, thank you so much, Jenn.
Thank you.
All right. You have a great day.